Donald Trump's first term as president, 2017 to 2021, introduced significant shifts in economic policy, especially in the areas of trade, taxation, and regulation. In this video, we will analyze the potential economic impact if Donald Trump were to return to power. It will explore his likely economic policies, the potential effects on domestic and global markets, and the challenges he would face in achieving his economic goals. Thesis statement: Donald Trump's economic policies could continue to reshape the U.S. economy by emphasizing deregulation, tax cuts, trade protectionism, and reshaping the global economic order. Historical overview of Trump's economic policies, 2017 to 2021. 1. Tax reform. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017 was a landmark achievement, lowering corporate taxes and providing tax cuts for individuals. The expected effects were to increase corporate investment, reduce the corporate tax rate to stimulate growth, and raise economic activity. Analysis of the actual outcomes: growth in stock market, corporate repatriation, impact on income inequality. 2. Deregulation. Trump's administration made a concerted effort to roll back regulations, particularly in industries like energy, banking, and environmental protection, aimed at stimulating growth by reducing business costs and allowing companies more flexibility. Review of the consequences, effects on job creation, environmental concerns, and the long-term viability of deregulation. 3. Trade policies. Trump's aggressive trade policies, including tariffs on China, renegotiating NAFTA, USMCA, and withdrawing from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, TPP, were key features of his economic approach. Examination of the short-term effects: job losses in manufacturing, trade war with China, and long-term consequences for the global economy. 4. Infrastructure plans. Trump's promised infrastructure investments to rebuild America's infrastructure. Analysis of how this plan was partially implemented and the gaps between promises and reality. 2. Projected economic policies for a second term. 1. Tax policy. Proposals for further tax cuts for corporations and individuals, with an emphasis on stimulating investment and economic growth. Analysis of how these policies might impact the national deficit, income inequality, and middle-class prosperity. 2. Trade policy. Likely continuation or escalation of trade protectionism, particularly with China. Potential trade agreements, revisiting tariffs, and negotiating trade policies to prioritize U.S. industries and workers. Impact on global trade dynamics and the U.S. relationship with other economic powers. 3. Regulatory rollback. Expected continued deregulation, particularly in environmental protection, energy, and healthcare. Analysis of the effects on industries like fossil fuels, pharmaceuticals, and financial services. Potential effects on job growth, sustainability, and market stability. 4. Infrastructure and job creation. Revitalization of infrastructure investment to modernize transportation, energy, and broadband sectors. How such investments would stimulate local economies and the overall U.S. economy in the short and long term. 3. The impact on the U.S. domestic economy. 1. Growth and unemployment. Trump's policies aim to stimulate economic growth, reduce unemployment, and increase wages. Examination of how these policies could work in tandem to boost consumer spending, investment, and job creation. How external factors like the global pandemic and inflation may influence outcomes. 2. Impact on the middle class. The promise of job creation and wage growth versus rising costs in housing, healthcare, and education. Effects of tax cuts and deregulation on income inequality, wealth distribution, and access to essential services. 3. Inflation and debt. How Trump's economic policies could impact inflation, particularly in areas like consumer goods, housing, and healthcare. Examination of the national debt and deficit in light of proposed tax cuts and defense spending increases. Potential solutions to these challenges, including fiscal restraint or new revenue-generating policies. 4. Healthcare and social welfare. Continuation or modification of the Affordable Care Act, ACA, Medicare, and Medicaid. How Trump's policy might change healthcare access and costs, especially for lower-income Americans. 4. The impact on global markets and geopolitics. 1. Global trade. Continued trade protectionism, with implications for global trade flows, supply chains, and international relations. Effects on industries in China, the EU, and emerging markets that rely on U.S. demand and supply chains. 2. Global financial markets. How Trump's policies on interest rates, taxation, and global trade would impact investor confidence and market stability. The role of the U.S. dollar, international investment, and multinational corporations in a potentially more isolationist economic environment. 3. Geopolitical tensions. Analysis of the economic and strategic consequences of Trump's foreign policies on major powers like China, Russia, and the European Union. The long-term effect of U.S. disengagement from international institutions and trade agreements. Challenges to Trump's economic agenda. 1. Domestic political divisions. The growing political polarization in the U.S. and its effect on economic policymaking. Possible gridlock in Congress, especially if Republicans lose control of one or both houses, limiting Trump's ability to implement his economic policies. 2. Global economic conditions. Global recessions, shifts in trade alliances, or supply chain disruptions, e.g., the COVID-19 pandemic, could limit the effectiveness of Trump's economic agenda. How external economic shocks might alter the impact of Trump's policies, especially in areas like global trade, energy markets, and supply chain logistics. 3. Public opinion and social movements. Growing pressure from social movements, environmental advocacy, and public demands for more progressive policies could challenge Trump's deregulatory stance. Possible social unrest and economic discontent if his policies exacerbate income inequality or economic disparities. 6. Comparative analysis, Trump's economic impact versus other world leaders. 1. U.S. economic policy under Biden. Comparison of Trump's proposed policies with those of President Joe Biden's administration, focusing on taxes, climate change, healthcare, and social welfare. How Trump's second term might alter or clash with Biden's vision for the U.S. economy. 2. Global economic influence. Comparison of Trump's approach to global economic leadership with that of other major world leaders, including China's Xi Jinping, the EU's leadership, and Russia's Vladimir Putin. How Trump's economic policies would align or conflict with global trends in trade, technology, and innovation. Donald Trump's return to power could result in significant shifts in the U.S. and global economies. His focus on tax cuts, deregulation, trade protectionism, and infrastructure investment would likely have both positive and negative consequences. Challenges: economic stagnation, global market shifts, domestic political gridlock, and external challenges may limit the effectiveness of his policies. Future outlook: the potential for Trump to reshape the U.S. economy depends on a range of factors, from global economic conditions to his ability to navigate domestic and international opposition. While Trump's economic agenda could stimulate growth and reduce unemployment in the short term, its long-term impact would depend on how it addresses inequality, global trade dynamics, and the sustainability of his policies.